We did look.
Here we go.
That's what that looks like.
We're here with Ken McElrath. Am I saying it correctly?
You are.
Skuid,
Yeah.
CEO. You guys have been looking at the story a lot because they have just gotten a $25 million boost here. So, tech company, a lot of people have heard about it. A lot of you guys have been talking to us about it, Ellis and I.
Mm-hmm.
But the big question is, what is this?
What is the company?
Yes.
So we have created a cloud platform for building apps without writing any code. Is
What?
essentially what it is. Yeah. And so we were trying to solve a problem that we had in a previous company that I had founded, and that was that our customers wanted to completely customize the user experience or the user interface of their applications. They wanted to add data from other databases. They wanted to add a tab here or a tab there. They wanted to completely rearrange objects or different roles in their company, but they didn't want to have to write code to do it. So we essentially created a platform.
Way to do that.
Yeah, a way to do that so that you could actually, and for like another app developer, they can actually build an app using Skuid as the whole front end layer, roll out that app to their customers, and then their customers continue to customize the user interface as well. So there are a number of different applications for it.
And a lot of support now. A lot of financial support. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a pretty big deal. It's a very big deal.
Yeah, tell people why. Why is it a big deal?
For us, the whole reason we looked for, I should probably turn off
It's
my
okay.
cell phone.
No, we all have them on.
You're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
The big reason is that we have been growing at an outrageous rate. So even in my past, when I worked for Fortune 100 companies or other entities, the 30-40% growth was considered phenomenal, and we've been growing on average about 120% year over year.
Wow.
So that creates challenges, right?
That's
A little
doubling.
bit.
Yeah, well, in some cases more than doubling. And so we're increasingly moving up market, which means that we have very large international organizations that are using our platform, and they need increasing levels of support. They're feeding new ideas into our product roadmap, and so we needed to be able to move a little bit faster than our ability to sell, so to speak.
Right.
And so that means that we have to build some more infrastructure in order to handle the increased number of customers that are coming to us and continue to outpace our competition and that sort of thing.
So where did this $25 million come from?
Two sources. The primary one is a company named Iconic, which is spelled with a Q at the end.
You guys, all the names.
They're all
Yeah.
weird. So they're based out in San Francisco, and they essentially kind of emerged out of a family wealth management practice that works primarily with high-end technology CEOs, COOs, CTOs, and so their initial money, I think, came from Mark Zuckerberg and
Bespoke, you guys.
Yeah. So there are a lot of other tech folks who have contributed to this fund as well. So they kind of spun off this little, not really a venture arm because they're very atypical in terms of venture money. They're a very good culture fit for us. It's patient money. It's very entrepreneur-friendly money. And so if you can imagine, you've got 100 tech executives and they're putting money into this fund. They're saying, we want to be friendly to entrepreneurs because we're entrepreneurs. So the whole idea is entrepreneurs funding other entrepreneurs. And so it was a great fit for our company. Another piece of it came from our Series A investor, a company named K1 Investment Management down in LA, and they followed on to make sure that they could keep their stake in the company. So total round was $25 million.
Just $25 million.
Yeah.
So you can see everybody in back of us now and what they're doing. Our article states about 150 employees right now. Is that correct?
290, right?
Not 190, no. It will be soon.
It's moving up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably be at about 200 by the end of the year.
Wow.
So about 90 of those right now are here in Chattanooga, and another 30 or so are spread out around the country. So we have, actually around the world, so we have an office in Walnut Creek, California, which is in the East Bay, and then we have another office in Zurich, Switzerland, and then we also have some staff in the UK. So.
I have a question kind of about the actual, why do you think this, you came up with this idea that a user interface should be, everybody has different needs.
Yeah.
whatever company, and even within companies, maybe to do the same thing, people might like to have things organized differently. And so you came up with this maybe one size fits all in terms of where my icons are located, where my stuff is, where I go to do my job. I mean, kind of talk about the origin of that idea, and then how you. It makes perfect sense when I say it out loud. Like, why isn't everybody doing this? But kind of talk about that idea and how you were able to make that a success.
Wow. So it really comes back to a former company that I founded, where we had built an application, a really robust application for a particular vertical industry. It was education at the time. And so we rolled out an application that had great functionality, but the user interface was really painful to use. But you could still change it with some really basic tools, but you couldn't change it enough to make them happy.
We understand.
Yeah. and in education, there isn't a whole lot of money to hire developers, right? Especially not at the rates that they have to charge today, right? So they said, we want a drop-dead gorgeous user experience, but we want to still have the ability to change it ourselves, make that happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do we do that? So we did a lot of design thinking and some creative brainstorming, and really the engineers that I had at the time, Zach and Ben, kind of sat down and said, we think we could do it this way. Right? Essentially, there's another company that we're very similar to, Amazon Web Services. They've done what we call abstracting the entire back end of infrastructure. So it used to be with the infrastructure business, you could, if you wanted to launch a server, you had to go buy the server, you had to configure the server,
run the cable, talk to the phone company.
Sounds like a hassle.
Yeah, it was a total hassle, and it was very expensive, and you spent so much time and energy just keeping these servers running. Well, with AWS, you can actually spin up a server in Australia in about 30 minutes, and you never have to buy anything. You just drag and drop and point and click, and boom, I've got a server running in Australia, right? We've done the exact same thing with the front end. So if you think about AWS as the back end and us as the front end, it used to be to create a really gorgeous UI, you'd have to do some wireframes and hire a bunch of designers.
Get some developers, get them to talk to one another, which is hard.
Exactly. Go through all of these different iterations, and eventually you get something that was great, but it was, I would call it static. It was like, okay, so I rolled this thing out, now I want to change it. Well, you have to go back through the whole process again. Right? It was a huge initiative. In fact, I remember I used to have a business that would do this. And I would tell customers right up front, whatever you do, you're going to throw it away in a year. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm spending all this money. I said, whatever we build first, you'll like it for a couple of weeks, and then
you'll say, well, what about this up here? Can that be done here? And
exactly.
Like this thing?
Yeah.
He takes my phone.
And you think, well, we spent all this time and money, we're never going to want to change it. It stops not being fresh anymore after about 6 months, and so every year you're going through the same process over and over again. And we wanted to create this platform that would make it very agile, where if you want to change stuff, just change it. You can do it in minutes instead of waiting another 6 months.
And you started out, and I'm reaching into the deep reaches of my memory here, but it was through the Salesforce.com platform. Is that correct?
Yep.
And how did that? I guess why did that make sense for you?
Well, Salesforce was and probably is still the most advanced platform out there in the cloud. Initially, we aligned with Salesforce because there really wasn't anything else. AWS hadn't even launched at the time.
True,
we started doing this, and we're still, the majority of our customers are on the Salesforce platform. So we built Skuid initially for that platform. We still are very committed to that platform, but we also had a whole bunch of our customers that were saying, Skuid's awesome on Salesforce. What do we do about
we have this other platform over
other
here.
platforms? Yeah. And so we started thinking through, do we create a version of Skuid to run on Microsoft, on Oracle, on everything else out there? And ultimately we landed on AWS because it was the most
pretty versatile,
open, very versatile, and no matter what platform they're using, we've created a way to actually connect to data on any other platform. And so by having Skuid on top of AWS, we can essentially hit the entire market instead of going piecemeal after individual bits. Now we may move Skuid onto other platforms in the future, but we're going to see how this goes first, and if it meets most people's needs, we may not have to.
And we're talking in a little bit, some of our tech-savvy
friends.
Friends will be watching this and saying, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about." Some of the less tech savvy people will probably be a little lost at this
I
point.
understand. I'm not as tech savvy, but you explained it very well.
But the idea, like, talk about a little bit about nuts and bolts. Like, let's say I'm an insurance company or something like that. I mean, what are you creating for me, for employee A?
Right. So just think about it from your perspective. You're a newspaper, right? Do you do business the same way as an oil and gas company?
No.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different, and so the way that you do customer relationship management is vastly different than the way even somebody selling widgets would do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just look around central Chattanooga here, all the different companies, everybody's doing business differently. Even if you look at, say, Unum and Blue Cross Blue Shield, right, 2 blocks away from each other, they're
Totally
both insurance companies, but they have very different processes for how they sell it, how they support it, how they pay claims. They're totally different. And so if you buy shrink wrap software off the shelf, even if it's cloud software, no matter how awesome that process is, in that shrink wrap process, you're going to want to change it around the way you do business. And we call that bespoke. Everybody wants bespoke. Yeah. It's bespoke means you're not taking a jacket off the rack and trimming the sleeves a little bit.
Tailor is measuring your arm and your
So
neck.
bespoke is like, I'm going to measure every piece of your body, and every piece is going to be custom fit for you.
I like that. Yeah.
So I think Daniel Craig in James Bond.
Yes, that suit fits
Very
him
good.
pretty
It's
well.
perfect. It fits better than a glove, right? So
Yes.
I don't know if I can move around in that thing, frankly.
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
don't
very
know
Who
impressed.
cares?
Yeah. And so when we talk about doing bespoke apps, that's what we're talking about. Is you don't need to use the off-the-shelf processes, right? And you don't really need to use one system of record. You've probably got 15 systems of record in your company. Tap into all of them and create a bespoke application that works the way you want it to work. And that's really what our niche is finding companies who have those bespoke processes and being able to build applications that fit them to a T.
And everybody probably watching this has some piece of internal software that they many of them may hate that. That's probably where some of the success is coming from. I don't want to speak out of line, but I know most people I talk to, they have one piece of software that they have to use because it runs everything, and they have to use it. And it's probably 20 years old. The company may not even be in business anymore. And now they're so you can't customize it. You're kind of stuck in that as the business world is changing, and as your customers are changing, and as we have
Constantly evolving.
and you're not able to evolve your processes, and that can be annoying, but it can also cost you money, right? Because people are wasting time. You've got
And when you mentioned customers, and I think that's the real key, is we have a lot of companies right now who are building portals to connect with their customers and to connect with their partners. And their customers and partners won't put up with the standard systems they're using internally, but they want a way to share the data from their internal systems with customers or with partners as appropriate. And they're facing this issue of it's got to be consumer grade. It has to be very, very easy for people to use. And they're coming up against these issues, in some cases for the first time. It's no longer, just for the employees, so to speak. I mean, I'm pretty passionate about employees myself, but when it's just the employees, so to speak, they don't really think so much about the consumer or the user experience, right? Hey, I'm paying them a salary. Why should I make it any easier for them?
Right.
But when it's a customer or a partner, whoa, now we have to face the music. So
they can go somewhere else. Somebody who's using Skuid, and
Well, it's
Exactly.
just like our website.
Well, yeah, I mean, we deal with this stuff, user experience, user interface, all on a
I
daily
hate when
basis,
people
and
tell
so
me they
we
do it somewhere else because it's not fast enough.
so we know
Yeah.
we know exactly what some of you out there are dealing with, and people who
We're sorry.
I try to sign up for try to go to our website and log in sometime.
Don't.
Don't do it.
okay.
We'll give you our password.
Yeah, but yeah,
If
so we
don't
share
know.
a lot of the frustrations of a lot of your customers probably,
Right.
and so we understand, and so you guys, part of what you have to do is constantly evolve as well in terms of not just creating things that are beautiful, but making those things react to your customers' needs and wants in different ways, right? How do you do that?
So it's all through abstraction, which is kind of a default answer for everything. But we listen very intently to what our customers are trying to do, and then we think about how to solve those problems in very creative ways that will work across different use cases. And so, as an example, we have something in our platform called a model that allows you to connect to data from multiple data sources. And we had a request that was, can I clone these models and use them across all these different areas of the application? And it made sense in one sense, but it would have slowed down their applications tremendously. Because, I don't want to go into the details, but essentially
it's a lot of processing happening behind the scenes.
If you clone a model over and over again, it's going out and fetching that data and pushing it back multiple times. And so what the solution to that was is to create what we call a parent and a child section of an application, a screen or a page, so to speak. So what you do is you create the model once and you put it into a parent section of your application, and then it's one model, one section, and you can use that exact same parent section across the entire application, across every page. And all the children can be unique.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it made
it's a little mini cloud for interfaces, basically. All
it
those,
is.
you have your server, so to speak, and then you have all your clients connecting to that server just with the front end.
Yep, exactly. So it's we get really creative about how we approach some of these problems, and so and that's just one example. I could talk about
Sure.
scripting and all kinds of crazy stuff. One of the biggest pain points for engineers is they want to be able to...
When I click this, I want these 5 things to happen.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of JavaScript or other kind of back-end coding. And so what we've done is we've abstracted that. So that's a point-and-click operation. You can say, when the user clicks next, I want to save this data to there and this data to there, and I want you to make this thing pop and highlight, or I want the background to become gray, or I want the window to go away. All of that crazy stuff that happens inside of an application that used to require code, we've abstracted it, and you don't have to do that.
So if people are dragging and dropping what they want, cause and effect. When one of their employees does this, they can drag something over here and say, I want that, without having to get into the actual code.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, I watched I'm a weird person sometimes. I watched the Steve Jobs thing when he was doing Next Computer. Have you ever seen that? And that was kind of one of their things I feel like he touted back then, that they were kind of in the very infant stages of, was being able to do at least parts of applications by dragging something over here and typing this and making that.
Most people don't realize that the World Wide Web came out of Next.
Yeah.
The first browser was Tim Berners-Lee when he worked for Steve Jobs at Next. And it's like there was so much that happened within that little company.
Not a lot of people knew what was going on, but obviously Apple's entire operating system is now based on what they were doing there.
But Next basically saved Apple. Their whole operating system was built on the Next operating system. So some brilliant minds in that little company.
But it sounds like I don't want to flatter you too much, but it sounds like you've kind of taken those early ideas that they were sort of working on there, and you've
built off.
You built those up quite a bit and built out quite a bit.
And in Chattanooga, why here?
I don't think it could have happened anyplace else. No, I mean, it's really weird. I mean,
near your house.
I used to live out near Silicon Valley, and the thinking back in the early 2000s, late 90s and 2000s, which kind of dates me, was that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen here. And there's something fundamentally wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
The idea that if you're really going to be an innovator, you have to be in this area. There are brilliant minds in this town, as you can tell from Skuid and a lot of other startups.
We're sitting with some of them here.
Yes. And honestly, it's so much more cost-effective to launch a company here. We've got the fastest internet in the Western Hemisphere. At very low cost, with extremely high reliability.
It's crazy.
People hate me when I talk to people outside of this city, and they're like, "Oh, Comcast was met," and I say, "Oh, well, my gigabit internet, I guess it's still working." Sorry. And they're like, "Well, you must pay hundreds of it's $70. It's $70."
It's crazy.
Lost some friends over that. Not really, but they're
it's crazy. I mean, I think somebody's finally launched gigabit, quote unquote, in the Bay Area.
Is that like down and up? Is it
No,
of course, yeah. It's always
no,
the
it's
down.
like,
and then,
look at the fine print.
Yeah.
The maximum speed is a gig, and when you look at it, it's really
as long as if you can talk to all your friends and neighbors and convince them to stay off the internet, then you may get a maximum of a gig. But if
exactly,
it's yeah.
Yeah.
We
How
don't
this
have to
thing
deal with
works, this Mevo that we're looking at right now,
Mhm.
off EPV sometimes.
that. Sometimes
Yes.
we
Yeah.
use a variety of providers.
We have an alien-like camera now.
If you're connected to our network, it's CPV. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're
we
here.
figured.
Yeah.
We're here in the downtown area, and you guys are
Yeah.
now you guys are building out a little bit to accommodate your growth, right? You've got some construction coming up, and you're working on expanding your space.
Yeah, right next door to this temporary space right now are 3 floors in Liberty Tower that are under construction right now. Expected move-in sometime this summer.
Sometime this year.
Yeah, the dates keep shifting on us. And by the way, that's universal. It's
That's
the same way in
everywhere.
San Francisco,
No matter what city you're
everywhere.
in. But we were talking before we started, and it's just so much construction going on in Chattanooga and the surrounding area these days that there's a lot. It's hard to get. You got to get your architecture. So yeah, you guys are up
Yeah, it
against
was
the
hard
same
to
thing
get
everybody
here
else
today
is.
on Chestnut. It's crazy.
Yeah. Also, all the streets are blocked off, so
Right.
maybe they're stuck. But
But speaking about all the other brilliant minds, now that you guys have broken this record with this 25 million,
yeah, Chattanooga
all
record.
these other startups here, like Bellhops, there's a lot of other quotes from people supporting you guys. So
Cheering.
Yeah, you guys are all supporting one another, and it's kind of like a tech renaissance going on in Chattanooga. What do you think about that? Some people would think there would be more
Some rivalry.
competition, rivalry.
Not really.
Not
No.
really.
No.
Not really.
No.
Not really, guys.
Kind of in different
Sorry.
markets. I mean, Bellhops
It
is
is.
moving people's stuff. You're moving people's interfaces.
Mhm.
So it's not. You guys aren't in really direct competition with
We're
them
not.
necessarily.
Even if we were, Chattanooga is very special because it's not just camaraderie among tech companies. There's a lot of camaraderie between public sector and private sector, and nonprofits and for-profits, and also among the startup community. But even in the Bay Area, there's a lot of camaraderie between tech companies. I remember listening to Mark Benioff one time talk about another company whose cloud service went down for a couple days, and he sent out a message to everybody in the company saying, "We do not talk negatively about this.
Yeah.
We are all
It
in the
happens.
same industry. Yeah, I know that they're a competitor, but we are trying to build an industry here, and the reliability is continuing to get better and better and better. And so if anybody in the cloud wins, we all win."
Different than the news business.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And maybe it was different back when, back in the day, but I don't think so. But in the tech industry, at least,
But we
there's
rely on the cloud. I remember when, I guess it was Amazon's Virginia location went down a little while ago. We had to scramble a little bit, but it was fine. We made do. And that's the benefits far of not having to have and actually clean rat manure out of the server and everything yourself.
And that's, I think, the big comparison is when you look at how often the cloud, or people who have are using the cloud, go down. It's a huge and major news event when it happens.
Yeah, but think
Because
about
it rarely
how much,
happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It rarely happens.
But, oh my gosh, I can't watch Netflix for 5 minutes. What will I do?
But how many times
go
did
outside.
how many times did your internal servers go down? Right.
Let's not
Over
open up
and
those old
over
wounds.
and over again. No, I used to run. I used to be part of a company that where we ran our own server farm. And you talk about a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're trying to get all of these stacks of Sun servers running.
Yep.
And no downtime. It was just insane. I said that after I left that company, I would never launch another ASP business. I wanted to do a cloud business.
Somebody made
That's
a
the-
sale?
Party.
Yeah, the choo-choo whistle. That's when somebody makes a sale. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Ellis, do we have any valid questions over there? We'll see.
Maybe. I don't know.
Sometimes. Is there anything you want to tell people here?
Yeah, are we asking good
Tell
questions or bad
people?
questions? What do you?
I know
is there
you've gotten a
anything-
lot of buzz over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Is that surprising to you or no? I mean, this is a pretty big deal.
It is a little surprising to me, honestly.
You're saying internationally people have been reaching out and wanting to cover this?
Had a lot of actually we've had a lot of vendors trying to sell me services in the last
Of course,
couple
of course.
Oh, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
That'll
always
happen.
about that. Mhm.
But no, we've had a lot of comments from friends all around the world, congratulating us, and that's been it's been fun, It's actually starting to sink in. I mean, it's been so intense
Nice.
trying to raise this round, and it happened. It was like, that's awesome, but it didn't really sink in, and now I think it's starting to sink in. But
Well, very cool. We just have people saying hello. They're
hello.
excited.
Hello.
We want to know about the business. The business is
friends.
Skuid, right? We
Yeah.
want to talk about
Where's the name come from?
SQUID.
Scalable kit for user interface design.
There you go.
And it was not invented by me. It was invented by the guys who invented it. Actually, Ben and Zach and another guy, John Nelson. And it initially was an internal tool. And so they thought this would be really funny to call it
Hilarious,
Skuid,
guys.
right? Hilarious. And
Now
then
you've got it.
And then
That's the name.
so we launched this prototype.
I could
and
never repeat what you just told me.
Yeah,
before.
scalable kit for user interface design.
Okay.
So it was great. We didn't realize it would end up being a product name at the time, but of course it's stuck and everybody likes it, and so now it's the company name.
And there aren't a lot of There aren't a lot of companies out there that have used that branding or anything. So
No.
you're fairly unique in the market. You're
Fairly
not having to
clean,
fight
yeah.
for mind share. I
Right.
guess,
Yeah.
Which is
And the
convenient.
URL was available.
That's
It's important.
yeah.
Yes.
Something we always check.
So talking about the growth and the new money, where do you go with that? What are you going to do with that? I'm sure you can't tell us everything, but I read.
Yeah, I can't tell you everything. We have some very
Research.
exciting things on our roadmap that will they will blow people's minds later.
Mind blowing. We like that.
Yes. So the way I say it is we're only getting started. If you think about the last 4 years of Skuid,
So this is still the beginning.
Yeah, most of all of our customers right now are using a product that we consider early stage. It's obviously enterprise class, very well received by the market, companies big and small. But when you think about the vision for where we're going, it's going to look vastly different than where we are right now. And so, more to come on that.
Is there a vision statement or not really?
Well, we kind of talk
vision.
about why do we exist, and
a big
what do we do, and why do we exist is really to free people to thrive in the digital enterprise. We kind of went through a process to figure out what it is, why we really exist. And at first we thought it was because enterprise applications suck. That's why we exist, right?
I do.
But when I asked, so why do we care?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you care if your enterprise application sucks? And I think what separates us is that we actually truly do care about the users of those applications. We care that they have a very humanized experience. We care that they are actually able to get their work done instead of fighting with the application. We don't want them to actually be forced to behave like a machine in order to get their work done. We want the applications to be forced to behave like human beings.
Common sense.
Right.
Taken to a different level.
And so we take that human-machine interface very seriously, but it's because we really care about the dignity of human beings. And fundamentally, I don't. Who wants to go to work and look at a green screen? Who wants to memorize function keys?
No,
Right?
not
I
me.
hope
Past
you guys.
that. I
good.
I
Good.
enjoyed DOS while it was a thing and all its wonder and glory.
Mhm.
But I don't ever yearn for it. I don't know
Yeah.
that many people do.
No, I don't think so. And
No.
even if you look at some of the great enterprise applications out there, who wants to be forced to behave the way those things make you behave? Hunting and pecking all over the place, having to launch multiple systems just to do a simple task,
Mhm.
right? Nobody wants to do that. And so, we had one customer who was their customer's success, or their call center people were having to launch 3 different systems, all of which were painful to use, in order to see what customers had bought and when they had bought it. And so it's very painful.
Oh, I know. I've
It's-
dealt with
yeah.
it too.
And it's painful for customers because they're sitting there waiting for you to figure out where their data is.
Yeah.
Right? So with Skuid, they can kind of unify that all into one simple experience. We're talking call centers who have cut their call times from 15 minutes to less than 2.
That's awesome.
It's just amazing differences. And a lot more happy salespeople. Actually,
Right.
our salespeople over there are using
Yeah, they
Skuid
seem,
they're
too.
happy
they seem
too.
happy.
Yeah, and
They sound happy.
yeah,
And so if somebody's watching this, and this will be archived in the future. Maybe people will watch it a week from now, a month from now,
Or 1,000 years from now.
1,000 years from now. So this will be unearthed, an archaeological experiment of some sort. So how do people get Skuid? What do they do? What do they call you at home or come down to the tower or what is it?
Wouldn't do anything. Yeah, just go to skuid.com, SKUID.
SKUID.com.
Yeah, there's a bunch of buttons on that site if you want to just get a demo, and you can also down at the bottom there's a thing that says install now, and you can go out and install it and start playing with it today.
Really? So like a demo version?
It's like a 30-day free trial,
Okay.
and you can install that on the Salesforce platform. You can launch it on the Skuid platform. It's wherever you want to do it. You can.
So people can start moving things around, say, oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
this kind of mimic whatever they want to ultimately have it.
And if you want to know how to use it, if you want to get some training, go to help.skuid.com or docs.skuid.com. We've got all kinds of documentation about how to use it. So
You promise it's easy.
I might actually do
Right.
that. Every time I go back
it's
and
a lot of fun.
You do it and you let me know how it goes.
I will.
No,
I
it's-
will. No, I love stuff like that.
I know
It'll be
he
fun.
does.
So we've had customers tell us that they installed it and they were up all night because they couldn't stop. It becomes like no, really, it becomes like crack because you're like, well, what if I did this and what if I did this, and you can just experiment.
And you just see
all
your
want.
life getting easier, like with every movement of the mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, he's totally gonna do that.
Yeah.
I run
gonna be like one of your
15 different
Netflix
content management systems.
experiences.
So yeah.
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 So here's a question you could ask me:
Okay.
what kind of benefits do customers get out of this?
What kind of benefits do customers get out of this, Ken?
Tell us.
Speed.
Speed.
Speed
So yeah, we had an industry analyst just do an extensive research on our customers, and they found out that they were saving about 75% of the time that it typically took them to develop applications. Really? 75%.
Crazy.
Right.
Time is valuable.
And time also
On
is
average, yeah.
money.
Yeah. Some of them are saving 90%. Some of them are saving a little bit less.
Because you sometimes pay by the hour depending on if you're using contract work. So
yeah, and so time to market is massive because the longer it takes you to get something to market, the more revenue you're losing. Because typically these applications are about driving top line revenue, and if you can get it there a lot faster and a lot cheaper, man, you can save on the bottom line and add to your top line. And so the ROI that most of our customers are seeing on Skuid is about a month.
pays for itself in a month.
That's
Pays
awesome.
for itself in a month, and that's not our data. That's this independent research that's being done about it. And frankly, we look at the numbers and we say, okay, 330% ROI, or something. It's just crazy. And the amount of time that they're doing stuff, and we say, wow, is anybody going to believe this?
It's hard to
Which is
believe.
cool.
It
It's hard to
is,
believe.
which is why we had to hire an independent third party to do it, because we tell our customers just like,
They're like, yeah, right.
yeah, that's
No, I've bought software before. That's not how software works. It costs a ton of money and it's a pain in the butt.
Skeptical ones
Yeah.
like that.
yeah. I mean, after 35 years in this business, you learn to not trust anybody who's selling you software because they promise you the moon and then you get it and you're like, that's not what you sold me.
Yeah, this is not the moon. This is cheese.
Yeah.
You lied, sir.
Exactly. And so we want to have integrity when we talk to them, and so we don't want to sell them the moon and give them cheese. We want to tell the truth, and so
Well, that's very cool.
Very cool.
It's always, I'm super excited because I've checked in with you a couple of times over the years, and just to watch your I guess exponential would be I don't think that's putting it too strongly, but
yeah, the line's starting to go like
a hockey stick graph, whatever you want to. Yeah, it's been
Definitely.
really cool to see you guys succeed in a kind of mind-blowing fashion. So can't wait for the next piece of news, whatever that is,
Thank
whatever
you.
happens next. I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
You know who to.
I can't
let
wait.
know.
Not to put any pressure on you or anything like
Maybe Ellie knows what's coming. You know what's coming next, Ellie?
that. Somebody will call.
Somebody will let
Always
us
do.
know.
It'll start with the ringing of a phone.
And we appreciate all the interest. Like, a lot of people have been talking to me about this since the article came out, just like 2 days ago and yesterday, and they've just been asking me, what is this? So I'm glad you've totally answered that.
How do you pronounce that
And-
word? And again, it's squid.
Squid, like the
It's
thing.
like the squid.
The squid salute, which is like our logo.
Right. Yeah. So.
You know what the squid handshake is, right?
No.
No.
What?
Do the fist bump.
Oh. I'll start doing that. I like it. Okay.
Okay, good. Now we
Should go out on
know the
that.
secret handshake.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys learned something. And so cool this is going on here. And congratulations. Big deal,
Thank
like we
you.
said. So go back, you'll learn why, and share it with your friends, and now you guys know what we're talking about. So again, thanks for your time.
Sure thing.
I know you're busy guy.